Hey, good morning, folks. I think we're ready to get started. Thank you all for joining us here this morning. I appreciate seeing all of you here. If you don't know me, I'm Stephen Roberts. I'm the Director of Land Use and Transportation for Washington County. We have 5 divisions in our department, and 4 of them are directly involved in development activities. One of them gets involved occasionally, our capital projects team. But so it really is a focal point for the work that we do. And so I really appreciate the opportunity that we have to hear from you all today. And then we really are excited to have a lot of our city and clean water services partners here with us today that'll just give a little bit of an update about various things that are happening around the county. And then at the end of the program, I just want to remind folks that we'll have time where county staff will be around. Hopefully some of the city staff can stick around a little bit. So if you have questions or just want to talk with folks afterward, we want to have that networking time. And so just looking forward to the program. So I am going to turn things over to Erin Wardell, our Assistant Director, and she's going to walk through a little bit more about the details today.
Good morning. As Stephen said, my name is Erin Wardell. I'm the Assistant Director of Land Use and Transportation. Welcome to the Development Forum. I think many of you have been here before, but if you haven't, the goals for the Development Forum are for staff to share information with our development community and also for us to hear directly from you and to build positive relationships. And so I know the networking is the best part of this event. We get to do that at the beginning. We'll also have time for networking at the end. We have some guiding principles, and again, if you've been here before, you've seen this slide before, but we really want this event to deliver value to all of you, so we do look forward to hearing from you afterwards if you have some suggestions for us moving forward. We want to be proactive. If we're hearing concerns from you at these events, it's something that we want to be able to take action on and implement changes on our side. We're trying to be inclusive, and so we want to make sure these events are broadly inclusive of our development community and our community at large. We like to be efficient here, and so this actually is a really great opportunity for efficiency because you not only have opportunity to engage with county staff, but you have the opportunity to engage with some of our partners as well. So this is a great event for efficiency purposes. Engagement, of course, is why we're here, and we really are hoping this is interesting for all of you. Please let me know if it's not. So here's our agenda for today. Again, today's a really exciting event because we have our agency and jurisdiction roundtable. At the end, we'll have time for some Q&A and then some networking after if you don't get a chance to ask your questions. So I have a couple of staffing updates before we launch into the roundtable and introductions. Since our Spring Development Forum, we have added staff here at Washington County who you may interact with through the development process. We have Jesse Heldstab, who's a survey tech, Bunny Yando is a building permit tech, Maria Garcia is another building permit tech, Ken Asul is a combination inspector, Brandon Dorsey is a plans examiner, and then Lauren Scott, who's here, is our public affairs and communications manager. Lauren, can you wave? So I'm going to take this opportunity and acknowledge Melissa DeLizer, who didn't know I was going to do this. But today is Melissa's last full day at Washington County because she is retiring. And so Lauren is taking over. So Lauren will be taking over our public affairs and communications function. I know many of you have interacted with Melissa over the years. We are really sad to see her go, but happy for her because retirement is amazing and she looks so happy about it. But we're also really happy to welcome Lauren to our team. Lauren has previously been with City of Hillsborough and City of Tigard, so really qualified candidate who has a lot of experience, and she's jumped right in, and so we're ready to go on that. We are looking for other team members to join our team. So we have openings right now for an operations superintendent. Building services supervisor, I think, just closed actually. So that one we will have an announcement on maybe soon. And then we have a survey tech 3 opening. So now we'll go into our roundtable. What I'd like to do first is go around and have everyone at the table introduce yourself, say who you work for and what your job title is, and then we'll do 5 minutes for each to do their update. So Carol, do you want to kick us off with an introduction?
Thank you. Hi, I'm Carol Johnson. I'm the Planning and Development Services Manager here at Washington County.
Hi, everybody. Nicole Paulson, Planning Supervisor for Tualatin Hills Park and Rec District.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Damon Reishi. I'm the Planning and Development Services Division Manager with Clean Water Services.
Hi, I'm Sambo Kirkman. I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Tigard.
Good morning. I'm Teresa Montalvo. I'm the Development Services Planning Manager for the City of Hillsborough.
Brian Pohl, Community Development Director for the City of Forest Grove.
Lee Crabtree, Assistant Director of Community Development, City of Beaverton.
I'm Jolynn Becker, the City Manager for the City of Banks.
Thank you all. And we are waiting on Sherwood and Tualatin, who will hopefully be able to join us a little bit later. So with that, we'll go into our roundtable updates. You each have about 5 minutes for this. If I start to look panicked and waving at you, that means you've gone over 5 minutes. So just glance over here occasionally. Go ahead, Carol.
Thanks. I thought I'd start out with a little bit of a recap of things that we presented at the April Development Forum. So one of the primary items on that agenda was about technology and process improvements. We just did a successful migration to the cloud for our Acela platform. We had to go down for a couple days. We have multiple other programs that are integrated with Acela, including Project Docs and our online permitting application, BDAS portal. But things turned out well, and so we've got now access to a lot more functionality with Acela. We're just beginning to explore those, but we're hoping to get a lot of improvements out of this migration. And one of the main things that we're really interested in doing is taking advantage of a tool in Acela called Acela Insights. And I know some of you are probably familiar with the City of Portland has this really great dashboard that has permit turnaround times and other permit related statistics and in a nice infographic format. And that's one of the features of this Acela Insights tool. So we've just got access to it. We're going to be doing training, but hopefully we'll be able to soon push out more data, maybe not real time, but closer to real time. And there's another upgrade that Acela is making that was supposed to have been ready when we went live. And that is they're updating their Acela Citizen Access, ACA, and it will be rebranded as the public portal. And it's supposed to be a lot more intuitive and user-friendly and, you know, kind of addressing all the different kind of user educational levels and experience with the development process. So we're looking forward to that. Again, haven't seen the actual release or don't know the release notes, but it should be sometime in the first quarter of 2026. Regarding our online permitting portal, BDAS, it's still limited to trade permits, but we are working on opening that up to all building permits. Again, this migration to the cloud slowed things down a little bit. And so now that the cloud went forward successfully, we're able to push forward. And we don't have a specific timeline, but hopefully, again, after the first of the year, in the first quarter, we should have it expanded. We're also looking at testing currently for online submittal of Type 1 land use permits. At our April meeting, we talked about that being something that we were working on. We've got the workflow down now, but we need to develop our internal processes and procedures. And so we're hoping by December that we'll be able to take online applications for Type 1 land use permits. Another key initiative that we talked about in April was our code assessment. So we're very happy to say that assessment is progressing on schedule. The consultant has completed all of their interviews and our stakeholder interviews, and are just wrapping up their assessment and then a summary report. So our staff is currently reviewing that, and some of those findings will be presented. There's an upcoming technical advisory committee on October 29th at 3:30. I think there's some folks in the room that might be on that committee. If you're interested in finding more about that project, you can just go to the Washington County website and put CDC assessment in the search bar, and that should bring up that information page. Just a couple more quick things, development trends. These are numbers as of June 30th of 2025. That was our fiscal year end. For building permits, there are a total of 14,016 permits issued, 2% up from last year. Single family residential was down 31% from last year. Commercial tenant improvements were up 10%. Total inspections were 45,077 inspections. That was down 4%, but we averaged 172 inspections per day. And we had a significant increase in grading inspections, up 133% from last year. And then in terms of new information, we have a new road naming process. So there is, if you're not aware, Washington County has a consolidated communications agency And there's been some concern that road name changes weren't coordinated with them, and that could impact emergency response. So there's a new process that's been established, and Stacy Shetler, our county engineer, is here, and he has a flow chart and can answer any questions regarding that. And then just in terms of looking forward, our big effort is really developing a response to Senate Bill 974. So that was the new Senate bill that imposed some new timelines regarding engineering review. And so Washington County is a little bit unique in that we have Clean Water Services to coordinate with. And so we've been starting to work on that. And then just yesterday, the Housing Accountability and Production Office released a guidance document that has kind of summary and FAQs around Senate Bill 974. So that's going to give us a little bit more clarity about how we need to respond to that. And that those new timelines need to be implemented by July 1 of 2026. So there's a huge effort that is being coordinated by Clackamas County, and we've expanded it to all the cities in Washington County, and Washington County will also be participating. So we'll have this, big pool of organizations that are all trying to tackle the same thing. And the hope is that we have some standardized processes that come out of that. So that wraps up what we're doing in Washington County. I'll turn it over to Nicole.
Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. Okay, great. I'm Nicole, again, Tualatin Hills Park and Rec District. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about a couple of our SDC programs that we offer. One of them, as you may know, when you build new development within a Tualatin Hills Park and Rec boundary, that new development is subject to systems development charges. And we have a couple of programs that are really trying to put forth efforts to build recreation, trail and recreation components within the community. So it's a program where if your development is in an area that is park or trail deficient, there's opportunities to connect and find ways to construct those improvements within your development and get reimbursed for those SDC credits that you would be typically paying into kind of our general coffer. So if you pay them at the time of permit pickup, it would go into THPRD's general coffer. If we have an agreement to work on improvements that you might be able to construct during your development, those fees would then go directly into the area and benefit the area that you're looking at. Maybe help provide marketing opportunities. I see a few folks in the room that have been able to go through that process. And I think it's been really successful for us over the last 10 years. We also have affordable housing SDC waivers. So for folks that are looking into working with affordable housing, development of affordable housing, or working with other companies working on affordable housing, we offer SDC waivers for units that are below 30% MFI, 100% waivers, and then we offer 50% waivers for housing units that are between 31 and 60% MFI. My encouragement is on both of those credit processes, waiver programs, to please reach out early in your development. The earlier the better, so that we can work towards the process and go through any hoops that we need to go through, get IGAs or MOUs set up, not IGAs, excuse me, MOUs or different documents that we need to preserve that. So our affordable housing project does have some requirements, including a requirement to have a deed restriction of 60 years in place, and a couple of other requirements that are really great and really useful and really helpful for the community. We also, later this year, will be starting the process of updating our SDC methodology. It's our 20-year plan. We are required to review that every 5 years, and this year actually marks a big update. So if you're interested on being made aware of that, of the program, the progress, the process, please reach out and let me know. That's all I have today.
Good morning. Again, I'm Damon Reishi with Clean Water Services. And I just wanted to do some updates related to our development review program, starting with our review timelines. With Senate Bill 974, I think there's a lot of interest in how quick agencies are able to turn things around, and Clean Water Services has always tried to be very quick in getting things back in our engineering and environmental reviews. So we are seeing a number of submittals right now, but on average, both our site development reviews and our environmental reviews for service provider letters are between 12 and 15 business days on average. A little bit more complex problem or projects with sort of problematic situations or different situations can take a bit longer, but for the most part, each review is 12 to 15 business days. Sort of related, the middle housing effort. We're starting to see more middle housing plats. It's still pretty small number of the site development project reviews we do, maybe 5 to 10%. But we are seeing a bit of an interesting challenge administratively with some of those, because when you do a plat and you have a lot, our engineering requirements is that each lot has a connection to the public system. But our SDCs and billing doesn't necessarily work that way. So when we get to permitting, sometimes what we're finding is that there's more units than we've anticipated, which can cause a bit of a glitch. So, for instance, with some of these new housing types, we'll see a single building that might have 2 or 3 units on different floors. And so billing-wise, there's 3 units there. But during our site development review, we're just seeing a single lot and a single connection. So it'd be helpful for us if applicants let us know sort of as early on as possible how many units they're anticipating with a given lot. I also wanted to touch on our inspections. As probably a lot of folks are aware, as of October 1st, we moved into our wet weather erosion control requirements. And probably the biggest thing that comes as a result of this is needing to cover open areas of a site when they're not being actively worked. And this can be on a daily basis. So if you've got a large project with a lot of open ground and you don't have established vegetation on it, there's got to be some sort of cover on it when you're not actively working it. So that can be anything from straw to plastic sheeting, or if it's an area that you're closing up, you could even use something like bonded fiber matrix. Something like hydro seeding, until the seed is established, isn't going to count as cover. So I know that that's always a big push and challenge this time of year, especially for big sites. So just something to keep in mind. Definitely got rain in the forecast. Another thing I wanted to talk about related to erosion control is the 1200C program that the state runs. And if you're not aware, the 1200C program, it's an NPDES permit issued at the state level for the entire state, but it's related to construction site runoff control. And in urban Washington County, Clean Water Services is the agent for DEQ. So you go either through your local city jurisdiction who interacts with Clean Water Services, or if you're unincorporated urban area, you work directly with CWS to get that permit. But the state is renewing that permit. They're on a 5-year cycle, so they have to go through a renewal process, and they're currently doing that. The end of last month, they posted a public draft of their proposed new permit language. It's a pretty short permit. I want to say it's like 5 or 6 pages, so there's not a lot to it. But there are a few changes, nothing dramatic. but I would encourage folks to go look in particular at the submittal requirements. There are some things that are maybe new or different there. If you're interested in looking at that, you've got till October 27th at 5 p.m. to make comments. There is a virtual public hearing on October 23rd at 9 a.m. I do have some public notices I can hand out to folks if you're interested, but really probably the easiest thing to do is you can Google Oregon DEQ stormwater construction, and your first result is going to be 1200C construction stormwater permits, and that will give you all the information I just mentioned and a lot more. So again, if you have concerns about erosion control permitting, that would be a really good document to review and comment on.
Hi, my name is Erin Engman. I'm a senior planner at the City of Tualatin. It's my first time here at the forum, so thanks for having me, and sorry that I was a little late. I had some car trouble getting here. But like most of you, I feel like Tualatin's had a pretty busy year. So this year we adopted our 2045 Transportation System Plan in August. This report and plan addresses the new CFAC requirements, and I think we were the guinea pig that got to implement these requirements first. We also made some updates to our roadway classifications and cross sections that better align with how our roadways have been functioning and that more equitably distribute the right of way amongst all the users. We're doing a separate legislative project that's currently underway right now to adopt the code amendments that implement the CFAC walkable design standards, also known as Rule 0330. So that's my pet project right now. Also this year, we had acquired Sid Sin from the City of Lake Oswego. He is our current economic development manager, and he helped them lead their downtown revitalization project. And he's currently doing that for us right now. So we're building on our urban renewal efforts that were started around the pandemic. And Sid, in partnership with Civilis Consultants and the University of Oregon Sustainable City Program, are currently doing a community visioning project right now for the area. That's going to include our new Riverfront Park, which we're really excited about. And with that work, it'll inform future code amendments and design standards for our downtown. So super excited for that project. We also are going out to bid for a new 2.5 million gallon water reservoir to address some storage deficiencies and resilience to serve our Basalt Creek planning area so that we can kind of get that development underway and serve those folks. And then on the private development front, we recently approved an expansion of the Lamb Industrial Campus. This project represents a potential $1 billion investment in the region. The expansion will add 250,000 square feet to their campus over 3 buildings. One of the interesting things with this project is during the comment period, we had quite a few neighbors in opposition of the project, which I thought was interesting. They had some concerns over noise and traffic, but in the end, they were kind of unfounded against our approval criteria, but just kind of interesting to know that sometimes with these exciting projects, you can get some strong community pushback, and then it makes our jobs interesting to hear them, honor their comments, but also kind of provide the legal framework of the parameters we get to work within as urban planners and city representatives. With that, I'll pass it on to Sambo.
Thanks. City of Tigard, one of the big things we have going on is we've in July launched our new development portal called the Community Development Hub. The goal of the portal is to provide online access to services to our development community. Currently, right now, there's trade permits and inspections that can be obtained through the portal itself. And our goal is by the end of the fiscal year to have all of our permits planning, building, and engineering accessible through the portal itself, and as well as being able to access prior applications through the portal as well. So with that, other projects that we have right now is River Terrace 2.0. If you all are familiar with it, it is the portion of the county south of Shoals Ferry Road and west of Roy Rogers. This is a 500-acre expansion area that's brought into UTB in February of 2023. The city is currently working on the community plan, which encompasses housing, transportation, infrastructure, parks, natural resources, and two other areas that that have been included is equitable funding strategies related to infrastructure and also climate resilience. We are currently in the middle of reviewing the various plans and are doing updates to our council on October 28th and on November 4th with regards to the housing and natural resources and parks as well. So we're looking at development code updates on the River Terrace area probably at the spring of 2026 with hopes of adoption in the fall. One of our key goals is to ensure that we're taking the time to engage with the community as well as our developing community as well on things we want to consider for the River Terrace area, as it's one of our last potentially areas that will potentially annex into Tigard. Another thing that our department's looking at is our first comprehensive economic development strategy update. The interest is talking to not only our businesses but our development community about what it is we would like to see in order to achieve one of our council goals, which is to improve the economic opportunities in Tigard as well. We're also working on projects such as Tigard Made that looks to encourage additional entertainment and commercial developments within our residential areas. And also Tigard Reimagine is another project that we have looking to update our development code for encouraging more development in our downtown area in Tigard. And last but not least is our Tigard Triangle Renewal District has just purchased a 12-acre parcel in the Tigard Triangle, which is the old Tigard Cinema site. The goal is to increase parks in the area as well as housing. So we are currently out in doing some community engagement, which we hope to also talk to many of the developers as the opportunity to do park development and a portion of the site, as well as the opportunity to look at potential housing and other mixed-use developments on that area as well.
Thank you. Teresa Montalvo with the City of Hillsborough. Just a bit of an overview for permit activity. Like a lot of other folks, we've been quite busy. All of my data is as of August 31st. We've had 199 new housing unit permits submitted. That's fairly evenly split between single family and townhome multifamily development. We've seen approximately 3,500 building permits. It's about the same pace as we were last year. I would say those buildings, the change being that we are seeing an increase in permitting activity for multifamily and a decrease in commercial building permit activity. Still the same number of permits, but the trend has shifted a bit. For planning permits, we're at 363 permits. This is a bit of a decrease from last year, approximately 5% decrease. And we've seen 714 engineering permits submitted. A couple of upcoming major projects is our Block 67 project, which is a full block south of Southeast Washington, north of Baseline between 6th and 7th. And that's the former Thriftway grocery store site, if you're familiar. And that is going to be a mixed-use development consisting of 334 units. There's going to be some senior living. There's going to be some middle income, a nice rich mix, 2 buildings, one 4 stories and one 6 stories. This was also one of the first projects to avail themselves of the mandatory adjustment process afforded through 1537. So that was the first one we applied. They received development approval in April, and I don't have a breaking ground, but they do have permits in, and they're expecting a 2-year construction timeline. We continue to see a lot of permit activity in our South Hillsborough subdivisions. We've seen in 2025 231 combined permits for single family attached and multifamily. And we are nearing occupancy for our Amber Glen area, which is about 3,000 units. Upcoming code updates, we're focusing heavily on mobilizing for all the legislative updates and things we need to do to get our code in line and in pace with that. We will be evaluating some industrial code refinements in the coming year. We're looking at inserting some standards for food carts and food cart pods, which we don't have. And then just a couple of staffing updates. We have a new development code and policy program manager on board, Rachel Marble, which was formerly one of our senior planners. We also just extended an offer to fill Rachel's old position, so hopefully we will have a new senior planner coming on board. And we are recruiting right now for a planning division manager, so that's out now. So we've got some good, rich staffing updates coming.
Brian Pohl, City of Forest Grove. A lot going on in our planning department. We are community development. We are planning, building, and economic development. There's 9 of us, and we do a lot of work. As far as planning going on right now, we are right now working on our access management plan for TB Highway. We've been on TB Highway sort of through the Forest Grove and our sort of more car-centric area. There's a lot of conflict points, a lot of accidents, a lot of problem areas, and we're looking to do some planning around that and potentially reduce those conflict points. Put this on my phone, and then it's way too small for me to read. We are also looking at our urban reserve area through the Grand Bargain in 2014. We did add a pretty large area up on David Hill, which is probably the last area you'd ever want to develop. It's very, very steep. It's very, very wooded, and it's certainly not going to yield any affordable. Different conversation at that time, but we're going to plow through in good faith, I think, but maybe eventually sort of get our heads around what it might look to go up there and develop or allow development, and if that's really the direction we want to go, or we want to see if there's a legislative fix somehow. So that'll be interesting. We just finished our downtown glow up project. If you've been through Forest Grove, we pulled a lot of the old trees that were starting to lift up sidewalks, replaced them, got rid of the old tree grates, and used the flexible porous surface treatment there so people would stop tripping and suing us. Because that was kind of a bummer to get sued a lot. It's looking great though, if you want to come see it. There's some other things coming with that glow up project. We plan on doing some strung lights in the trees, some power things and everything for little festivals and things like that, ability to close off the street. Our Festival Street project is still pending. That's 21st Avenue. We've talked about doing a sort of a festival street that would not close off the street full time, but would allow us to close off the street for events and sort of be more sort of, curbless streets and have sort of an event space there. Funding is the only problem right now. The plan is passed. One of the most exciting projects in Forest Grove has been our 2040 vision plan. I imagine many of you in this room have been in hearings where you have a development in front of you and your community says, we don't want that. We want a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods, or we want a dog park there. And our council kind of grew increasingly uncomfortable with this sort of sense that they couldn't help in that regard. That we would just sort of, here's the application in front of us, and then we don't ever get to talk about the other stuff that you want. And so this turned into a multi-year project that we've called the Forest Grove Forward 2040 Vision Plan that identified sort of just community deficiencies, things that the community members want to see, things like more retail, more shopping, less housing. I don't know how to crosswalk those two. But there's a lot of sort of projects that are going to be coming out of there. And we're still sort of sifting through those projects as far as how they go, what form they take, one of those projects that kind of fell out of that was to update our comprehensive plan sort of writ large. And that'll be a multi-year effort coming up. We'll have an RFP on the streets, hopefully first of the year, to start that effort. Our Urban Renewal Agency has purchased the Forest Grove Theater building. So if you've ever been sort of west on TV Highway, Pacific, you kind of get west of Main Street. There's an old theater on your right if you're headed west. And we now own that building and have tenants, and we're playing property manager for the first time, and it's kind of interesting, kind of fun. That's through our economic development wing, and our hope is to someday have an adaptive reuse project there in the Forest Grove Theater. I think if you ask most of our council, they would say they really want to see a boutique hotel put there. But that's be looking out for that soon. We'll probably put an RFP out there for redevelopment of that theater within the next year. Still some conversations to be had, as well as some shoring up of the theater itself prior to development. Sort of a lot of fact-finding stuff. Is there asbestos and stuff like that? But that's coming on the horizon. Permits have remained pretty steady. I won't get into the numbers, frankly, because I can't read them. But that's about all for Forest Grove. I do want to say that if you haven't been out to visit us, we are in our new building, our Development Services Annex. We talked about in this group before, but we have now co-located our engineering department and our planning department in one. It has yielded pretty immense results as far as how we're communicating, how we're getting along, how we're just sort of moving projects through the pipeline and not getting caught on these snags of sort of they say this, they say this. We're stuck beside each other right now. We overhear everything each other says, and we avoid a lot of those just by sort of cross-pollination, if you will. That's all I got. Thanks.
All right. I didn't bring any permitting stats, but I'll just say kind of we have a normal fall slowdown that happens. New large projects coming in are slowing because we've had a lot of large projects come through and they're in construction and inspection. And so we're just keeping busy on that side of things. We do have some staffing turnover. Sometimes our neighbors steal staff from us, which opens up opportunities. So we've recently onboarded an assistant planner and a management analyst. We have a posting for an arts program manager and a senior development project manager, and we're looking to post for a plumbing inspector here this fall. That opens up the door that we have 8 divisions. Our department has a broad range of responsibilities, and so that'll show up in the rest of what I'm going to talk about. One of the big projects we have going on, probably the biggest in the department right now, is the transportation system plan update. We're going to work towards adoption next year, but on December 2nd, City Council will hold a work session to review what we've learned from the community and start talking about the next steps and progress forward on cross sections and what the community wants out of their transportation. Like other jurisdictions, the city is also working to adapt to expectations for housing production as outlined by the state. On July 1st, staff presented a housing production update at council. And over the last 10 years, just to give you a snapshot, developers and builders have produced over 5,000 housing units within Beaverton, and that's an average of 500 a year. So we have grown a lot. That's a lot due to South Cooper Mountain. But it's also due to a lot of multifamily and redevelopment that we've been doing. The housing production strategy, and just based on the 2023 numbers, the 2024 numbers are higher, but we're basing our production strategy on the 2023 numbers. We need another 9,900 units over the next 20 years. The strategy that we have has identified 20 actions that have to be completed by 2029, and that includes code updates, housing incentives, and policy changes. Other efforts underway and upcoming include designing walkable places, code maintenance projects, Cooper Mountain implementation and annexation. So a lot of our growth will come out of, for single family and some multifamily will come out of Cooper Mountain, which is the area north of South Cooper Mountain, but south of North Cooper Mountain. So North Cooper Mountain is the top of the hill where it's still in the county and under county jurisdiction for development review, but that portion in between will come into the city. So there's a lot of infrastructure, water and otherwise going on in and around the city as well, so that will help us with our implementation. We've got business process improvements for permitting. We're kind of always in a continuous improvement mindset, and so that keeps us busy. Trying to make sure that we have a good metrics approach to understanding our housing production, continuing to figure out like how to serve you all, what's best for you all. So any feedback that you have about what we could do better is always welcomed. And we're trying to leverage city and bureau-owned properties to develop more housing. So to that end, the city works to address housing and housing affordability as a portion of the units of our production. So the city is and related funds have resulted in 221 completed units and over 480 units in progress for a total of $42.6 million invested through funds available to the city on affordable housing units. Some of the projects underway include the El Monaco project at 173rd and Baseline. That's a Reach CDC 81 unit development. It's a mix of unit sizes and it allows for some multi-generational housing, which is exciting to us. Meadowlark Senior Affordable Housing is in permitting. It's a project near our library at 5th and Hall, and it includes 66 units with 38 being deeply affordable housing, and it also includes a space on the first floor for some active use. Our Lombard West project is a mixed-use project that is just now in exclusive negotiation agreements near the Beaverton Transit Center, and we're really excited about that. THPRD is our parks provider, and so they've been really helpful in working with us on that project to also deliver some park space where we have some affordable housing units and market rate units, parking and childcare is the proposal for that site. Right near transit, which is awesome. We just got approval to go into exclusive negotiation agreements for a property at Hall and Center, and that one is a 6-story development. It's got ground floor commercial and some art elements. So the Patricia Research Center for the Arts is nearby, and so kind of expanding that art footprint in the city is really exciting to us as well. Developers continue to be busy in South Cooper Mountain. We've had a couple affordable housing projects down there as well. A lot of the site work is complete, but not all of it. So we'll just be continuing to churn out there. Some other indirect investments. Sometimes we get super innovative. And so also with THPRD, we're looking at some middle housing templates or like what would it look like, engaging community members on what they need and want in smaller housing units, and then trying to figure out how to replicate that across other areas. And we showed some of how that would look on a 1-acre piece, and it just happened to be on the LC Stir site that THPRD owns, but it was just an example site so people could picture like units, smaller units replicated in place. So that was fun for our staff, and it's still ongoing as part of a Bloomberg project. One of other items, but the one that I'm going to finish on is we have a downtown Beaverton sub-basin strategy, and that's for stormwater. So working with Clean Water Services and other partners to figure out how we take the creeks in downtown Beaverton, and there's a lot of floodplain in downtown Beaverton, and with the stormwater requirements and the creek and the floodplain, how do we take all of those and help our development and redevelopment efforts by allowing or finding a path forward for developers to take properties in that space and pay a mitigation fee, and then maybe give us the land that they wouldn't be able to build on anyway, and maybe a little bit more for us to provide access and build a larger green space in downtown Beaverton, and to alleviate the use of development space for stormwater infrastructure. So that's exciting. That strategy is coming on board this fall, or should be adopted, and we're also going after grant funds to help us with the implementation of that.
I am Jolene with the City of Banks, so I'm just going to give you an overview of what's happening in the city. So we have two developments that are both had started their infrastructure project or basically broken ground, and we've got on our west side we've got looking at about 144 new homes coming in, and on our east side of 950 homes coming in. This will right now we're probably around 1,800. This in the next 10 years that will triple or more City of Banks. In conjunction with these projects, some of the developers are also doing infrastructure projects from realigning Arts and Banks Road, putting in a roundabout at Arts and Highway 6, to adding a new water tank up and building a new well for the city, which will then be conveyed to the city at when they're completed. Then I'm trying to think. Then in conjunction with that, we also have industrial land, which Hampton Lumber closed down their plant about a year and a half ago. So I do know it's on the market, but we're looking at a development of 20 acres that will then benefit, that will come in and to the city. And we just completed changing our zoning from heavy industrial to light industrial, because since with all this development happening, we all are in industrial land is surrounded by residential. So we're trying to complement it so that they can be good neighbors to each other. And I think that is pretty much what's happening in the city. For a small city, we're going through a lot right now.
Great, thank you all. I am going to take this opportunity to give one more update for Washington County because I have a microphone. Washington County's Economic Development Manager, Adrienne Chalet, is here in the back of the room. So our Economic Development Program had been created within our County Administrator's Office, and a few months ago, it was determined that that position fit better within Land Use and Transportation. As you've actually heard through these updates, Economic Development is typically co-located with Community Development, and so really great synergy to have Adrienne with us now. I wanted to give one update from her program, which is that if you're involved in real estate financing, you may have heard of the Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy Financing Program, known as CPACE. CPACE is a program that offers some creative financing when you are incorporating clean energy or seismic resiliency type improvements into a project. It's a really interesting and innovative program. When Washington County created that program, we established a sunset date for it. The board recently decided to take away the sunset and continue the program continuously. We've had quite a bit of interest in the program in recent months, and so I just wanted to put that out there. If you have questions about that, or if you know people who do financing and might be interested, please talk to Adrienne. So with that, we're going to open it up for questions for a little bit, and then we'll go back into our networking time. So are there any questions from the group? Go ahead, Isla. So let me try to rephrase that in the microphone since we are recording this. So the question is about Goal 5, historical property preservation, and if any cities, specifically with urban renewal, but maybe other programs, are looking at historic preservation for some of these Goal 5 identified sites.
I mean, we have historic resources that we review against, like if somebody wants to do something with them. So we do have Goal 5 identified resources. For our urban renewal area, we did a downtown equity strategy. So it's a way for us to remind ourselves all the questions that we should ask when we're getting into a project. And our staff take that really seriously, along with chartering with a very specific set of questions to prompt us to think a little more deeply than we had in the past about what we're doing and how we're impacting people. I don't know if that fully answers or is what you're looking for, but we do have some.
So does any other city want to jump in on that? We may not have the right speakers here.
Yeah, I think that it's a difficult topic because I think in the development forum here, we're talking about a balance of various things, and Goal 5 is one of those areas that our teams all try to incorporate as part of our analysis for any new I think codes and regulations that are here. So I would say it's difficult to answer because and often when you talk about a 150-year-old tree or a 150-year-old home, those are on a case-by-case basis, depending upon what the various regulations we're looking at and the landscape for each different jurisdictions. So I can't tell you that there's a specific process that we have that can as aggressive as you're interested in. But what I can say is that I think all of us as jurisdictions take an opportunity to look at things not only in the lens of it's an equity lens where we're looking not only at the natural resources that are there, but also the needs of the communities that we're working with. So it's not a satisfying answer, but I can say that all of us here, as we look at answering the requirements, look at natural resources in a holistic approach. So.
Great. Any other questions? Quiet group today. Go ahead, Bruce.
The urban service area. And I was partnered with Beaverton and THPRD are working together on planning the urban service area, but appropriate area inside the city. And I really appreciate all of the potential and how they're going about planning for this area working out that
You just think just our coordination efforts? I mean, we get along pretty well, huh, Nicole?
I think we do.
Yeah.
We're on opposite sides of the table, but
yeah. our staffs work really close. Like we got multiple staff in both agencies that, depending on the topic and the issue, work together. But our leadership and our board and council just met together last week, and it was an opportunity for them to have a conversation together instead of at each of them at their own meetings. And so it's just nice to have that open forum. And for us, it's how do we leverage the resources that we have through the Metro Parks and Nature Bond. We both get allocations because we're both parks and open space providers, but they are our acknowledged parks provider. And so our council agreed that to go ahead and take our allocation and transfer it to THPRD, and we'll work on an agreement to determine what that looks like and what projects elevate to for that use.
So you're not just looking at inside.
Well, we don't control what's outside of our jurisdiction, but we do collaborate and acknowledge each other's work. Do you have any, Nicole?
Yeah, I would just add that we also, the Park District works with Washington County within our ultimate service boundary. So we have some areas that are located within City of Beaverton, and we have some areas that cover some of unincorporated Washington County. And so we work respectively with both agencies in their specific jurisdictions to ensure that park and recreation services are provided for the area. So a lot of the work that we have done in Washington County recently has included the North Bethany area, just where new development is. Again, that's with our systems development charge reimbursement program, which has been a real great success to ensure that park and recreation and trail services are incorporated when populations come into that area. And we're currently working on that program through City of Beaverton with their South Cooper Mountain and Cooper Mountain areas as well. And so it is all a coordinated effort, and we work very closely with both jurisdictions.
Go ahead, Matt.
About middle housing and knowing early what the ultimate use of this property. I thought there was classes that require land bids, so the city and counties just process land bids and middle housing review first. And we talked a little bit about
So the question is about middle housing land divisions and state requirements for how jurisdictions are processing middle housing, and if we've changed our processes to be responsive to that. And that is a really big topic now. Harold, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm really not prepared to respond to that specific question. We haven't received a lot of applications so far. Most of them have been relatively small land divisions, and we've got a couple court cluster applications so far. One of the difficulties we were having with our permitting system is just how to track that information in order to get the metrics, because we were kind of double counting the lots created through the land division process as well as the individual units that were coming in for building permits. So with our new upgrade with Acela, we're now going to be drilling down into that data so that we can analyze it and come up with more actual information.
Anybody else want to share anything?
I would just add that with respect, I think you mentioned the changes to allow processing of a subdivision and middle housing at the same time. We are taking a code package forward that will include, recognizing that allowance as part of our code. So we're working on that now.
Great. Okay. Go ahead. suggestion. Jen? So Jen's question is about confusion over what jurisdiction folks are in or where they're supposed to get their permits from. And I'll add a layer of confusion in Washington County is the special service districts, because the involvement of Clean Water Services and THPRD who are at the table and some of our other service districts makes things really complicated. So I think this is a challenge in Washington County that we probably all deal with. I know we deal with it at our counter all the time. We do have some tools available.
Yeah, we have our IntraMap tool. So it's a GIS map available to the public through our website. And you can collect additional, once you select a parcel, you can collect additional information, excuse me, and it will tell you which jurisdiction that parcel is located in, as well as other special districts that they would potentially need to coordinate with, such as THPRD and Clean Water Services.
Great. Well, with that, I think we're going to wrap up and let people do some more networking and drink some more coffee. I do want to remember to remind you all that April 9th will be our Spring Development Forum. If you have topic ideas, something you would have liked to have heard today, something you think is on the horizon, please let us know. I'll try to get that on the agenda. And I want to give a round of applause to all of our panelists today.